Are you scared from this check? I hope you're not scared by ampersand ampersand. It's a sign that we can use in a lot of previous games. I hope you used it in Jetpack Joyride for a collision check too. And in most of our future games we want to check if something is colliding with something else. So I will tell you now a little secret. All this time you could have made much easier collision checks if I have told you that there is something hidden here in the HTML file. You can also open the HTML file in brackets so that you look at its code. Some of the code is HTML code, so it says what should be placed on the HTML page, and you can see that the only thing that is placed is our canvas, and most of our canvas code is here in the game.js. But actually there is a lot of other JavaScript code that we have written and we haven't shown it to you so far, but it helps you a lot and makes a lot of things easy. For example, mouse X and mouse Y are variables that you can use because of our start HTML. And because of our start HTML, you can use without any difficulties another way to check if two rectangles are colliding. This is a piece of code that, when is present in your project, in your game, allows you to make easier collision check than this one. You could have simply written if are colliding. You can see that autocomplete helps me with it now, and you have to be really careful with the round brackets around are colliding. I have a pair of brackets only about are colliding, then a closing bracket that is closing the not sign brackets, and finally I have the brackets of the if. So that's why I have 3 closing brackets here, and in the brackets of are colliding, this is going to be scary, I will write 7 commas. If I have 7 commas on a place, then is this 7 really? I'm scared, can I count? So if I have 7 commas, then how many places for numbers I have in are colliding? Well, in FuelRect I had 3 commas, so there were 4 places for numbers. If I have 7 commas in are colliding, then you can count 8 places for numbers, and those 8 places are reserved for numbers for the first rectangle, and then 4 numbers for the second rectangle. Can you think of which 4 numbers can explain a rectangle? Which will be the easiest 4 numbers to explain a rectangle? Well, yes, we choose exactly those 4 numbers that are the same when we are drawing a rectangle. So you can simply copy and paste the numbers from FuelRect. And if you write such thing, you can see that it's a little bit shorter than our previous check. It's much more simpler, and there are less bugs that you can do when using are colliding. You should know that arc colliding is not part of JavaScript language. It's only working in projects where you have this piece of code written somewhere in the project. So you can use it in all your future projects. You can even change it to not be with 4 nested ifs, but with a single if. If you are careful, you will see no difference, only your code will be shorter. Let's see if arc colliding is really working. It is going to be working if we see congrats you are alive when we are far away from the enemy, and there is collision when we are hitting the enemy. So I think that both this check is working and this check is working. I want you to write this check now in your sheet of paper with all our knowledge, and you can start preparing for your homework. In your homework, I want you mainly to extend your sheet of paper with all our knowledge. We learned today 2 totally different things, and one of those things was arc colliding, and the other thing is actually 3 things, 3 signs that we can put between booleans. One of them actually should be put before a boolean, and we will have the opposite of the boolean. So I hope you understood today's knowledge and you will be able to write the best explanations possible. You can also see my own explanations, but I believe you can write a sentence that you understand better than I can write. Our task number 1 for today will be to finally do something that I didn't do at today's game at all, but it's really easy. Resurrecting the enemy backup when he's under the canvas. You will also have to resurrect the enemy if we have lives, and the game should continue even after a collision with the player. I want those resurrections to be on a new random X. And task 3 is to stop the game on the first collision. In task 4 I want you to have lives and take only one of them. When you're ready with the lives, you can penalize the player in one more way too. Why not make the enemy even bigger? This way it will be not only different to paint the enemy, but also to check for a collision with him. So you should carefully change our collision checks to use not specific numbers like now, not use the specific sizes, but the variables that will increase. I want you to use our collision check arc colliding. In Jetpack Joyride 2, this was our first game. One more game that I want you to remember is our Fruit Ninja cloning. In it we don't check for a collision between 2 rectangles, but between a rectangle and a point, the point of the mouse. And we used 4 nested ifs. I want you to change this code and instead use ampersand ampersand. Task 7 requires you to have a totally new folder, but relax, we will not make a full game in task 7. I want you to just check when the mouse is outside of the interval x300, x500. If the mouse is to the left of this interval, or to the right of this interval, I want you to print some text. I want you to think how we can do this task. There are a lot of ways. We can use a lot of the signs that we learned today, and I want you to practice them. Actually, try to do this task at least 3 different ways. And task 8 will finally finish our avoider. I want you to make a new special way to die in our game. I want the player to immediately die regardless how many lives he has left, if he does not only collide with the enemy, but if it's totally inside of the enemy. So you will have to write a new check. R-colliding will not help you. You will have to write a totally new if with a lot of our new signs that we know, in order for you to understand if the player is under the top of the enemy but over the bottom of the enemy. I think you will be fine with this task too, and I'm sad that we don't have a really hard task this time. We have a lot of tasks, but I think that all of them are kind of simple. So if you do them quite fast, you can, of course, as always, make your own game idea that can be finished only with our current knowledge. You have to be careful when doing a task like this, because you will probably try to do something really hard, and actually all of the ideas that I could have think of that can be done with our current knowledge, I put them in our curriculum. So you need a lot of creativity to think of something new and simple. If you succeed, please upload your game and share it. I will be really happy to see a really simple game that can be done by a junior student like you. Good luck!